While the power brokers try to broker a convention, there are two candidates who can actually win this thing. And Mitt Romney, who people were trying to draft, just announced that he'll vote for Ted Cruz in Tuesday's Utah caucuses, and he encouraged others to do the same. Now, that has to be good news for my next guest, who recently joined Ted Cruz's national finance team and who thinks taking away the nomination from anybody is a bad idea. Neil Bush. He's the son of 41, brother of 43, and sibling of Jeb. Neil, thank you for being here. What do you make of my previous guests not rallying to embrace your guy, Ted Cruz? What do you read into that?
Well, I think it's very early in the process, and I have great respect for all three of your guests. You know, Ron Kaufman's been an old friend and political mentor of mine personally. I think they're wrong, though, in the following way. Ed threw out the statistic, which I think is flawed, that Donald Trump would have to get 100% of the delegates going forward in order to lock it up. He only needs 55% of the delegates going forward to lock up the nomination. Ted Cruz needs 79%. Kasich is mathematically eliminated from this. And Michael, if you look at the process going forward, there are 22 contests that remain, 14 of which are closed contests, which means only Republicans can vote. Donald Trump does poorly in closed contests, and in most of these, they're winner-take-all consequences. And so we need to rally the party in a one-on-one contest. Donald Trump cannot win. It's just clear. The evidence is there. As the pack has narrowed, Trump's numbers, or Cruz's numbers, have gone up. Trump has a very solid core, base of support from an ardent following. No one's going to peel any of those voters away. But there are more people that have come out to vote, for other candidates and against Trump. So to his credit, he is bringing more people to the polls. But I'm not so sure all these people are going to stay in the Republican Party when he loses, and he will lose in an open, transparent process, if not before the convention, at the convention.
Neil, is yours a full-throated endorsement of Ted Cruz, or are you engaged in strategic voting?
I'm engaged in strategic participatory politics. I've made it clear that Ted Cruz wasn't my first choice. I admired and was heartbroken at my brother Jeb's lack of success. He had a track record and the temperament that proves he could be a great leader. Ted Cruz wasn't my second or third choice. I don't particularly like his style. He went to Washington to be disruptive. He clearly did that, and he's lost a lot of friends in Washington. He'll rebuild friendships when he becomes president. So mine is a strategic move to try to bring our party together. I think it would be a disaster to put up the most flawed candidate as the head of our ticket. Donald Trump has proven to... Yes, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, I'm glad to hear you differentiate why you're for Ted Cruz, because here's something that has troubled me or made me question. I want to run a montage brief of some of the things that Cruz has said and then tell you what I was thinking as he said these things. Roll the tape.
The Washington establishment is refusing to listen to the American people.
Your fellow Republicans said you led them over a cliff.
Do you feel like you owe your party an apology?
Senate Republicans should have united and supported House Republicans.
Shutting down the government or defaulting is the wrong thing to do.
Comparing it to those who were the appeasers.
A once proud Republican Party has been driven off the cliff under Cruz control.
Ted Cruz is a fraud, and he'll no longer have any influence in the Republican Party.
Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam. I do.
Neil, I think your dad, 41, is the gold standard. I think he's a class act. And when people say establishment, I think in a good way of George Herbert Walker Bush as he ran in 80, a president we won't have to train. Cruz seems totally at odds with that vision of the GOP. That's why I'm questioning how you could be supportive of him.
Well, I would put it differently. I would say that if you look at my dad as the gold standard, in my mind, he was a gold standard because he put service above self. And he was all in for helping the American people and reaching out and trying to work with the other side to make things happen in a positive, proactive way, both domestically and foreign policy. Donald Trump is the opposite of that. Donald Trump is self before service, and he would be the worst standard bearer our party could ever put up. I would put Cruz more in the Reagan camp. Reagan came in with a philosophical compass that was really clear and firmly set. He was a conservative to the core. And yet, when Ronald Reagan got to Washington, he threatened to be the outsider coming in. He worked with the Congress, and we have a historic opportunity, Michael. We're going to bring you back into the Republican Party. You pronounced you became independent. We're going to have a historic opportunity for President Cruz, and it's not smoothly coming off my mouth, but President Cruz to work with Speaker Ryan and Senate Majority Leader McConnell. Even though those guys probably find Ted a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow, they're going to work together to reform Washington, to move power back
question.
to the Okay.
I want to know, is Jeb cool with what you're doing?
I mean, he's not uncool with it. Let me put it that way. I'm my own independent guy. I don't speak for my brother, Jeb. George, I clearly don't speak for my mom. I can't wait for you to track her down and get her opinion on all this. But I put my country first above party, and I'm not going to take the hail Trump, kind of deal and step up there. And I'm not going to do what's the politically correct thing among presidential candidates and say, yeah, I'm going to support him. I'm not going to support Donald Trump. I'm going to support Ted Cruz, the only guy in this race. We need to unify around him. He's got a clear path to winning this contest before you get to the convention, so we can use the convention for the positive message. By the way, I'm on the Finance Committee. Give money to Ted Cruz. Go to tedcruz.com or .org.
All right, Neil.
Look him up. You can find him.
Neil,
Thank you, Michael.
When Poppy comes back, then I'm back for good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being here.
You're a good man. Thank you, Michael.